Good morning and welcome to Newhouse's New Day Breakfast. I'm Carolina Cruz, anchor at KCTV 5 News. I'll be your host this morning. It is a special year for Newhouse, Kansas City's first domestic violence shelter, as they celebrate 50 life-saving years in the community. Before we get started, we have some thank yous to get to. This event would not be possible without the generous support of this year's sponsors. It includes Huhtamaki, Hush Blackwell, the Gallery Event Space, Sporting Kansas City, and Design Mechanical. Your support is an investment in the survivors who call Newhouse their temporary home. 2020 and the beginning of this year has tested us all. Our community faced hardships, we saw pain firsthand, and we experienced loss. When the pandemic shut down the economy, schools, and businesses, medical professionals advised families to, quote, stay home and stay safe. But unfortunately, home was not safe for everyone. As our community experienced this health crisis, law enforcement saw a near 30% increase in lethal calls related to domestic violence. Can you imagine living in a domestic violence shelter during lockdown? For Newhouse residents, COVID lockdown was a challenging time layered on top of an already difficult situation in their life. Many survivors face substantial barriers such as isolation, job layoffs, a lack of access to household finances, and no transportation, just to name a few. But survivors still made the brave choice to step into an unfamiliar place, escaping abuse and leaving behind everything they've known. Today, you will hear a story of resilience, courage, and strength from an individual whose family sought safety at Newhouse.
My name is Courtney Thomas, and I have the privilege to serve as the president and CEO at Newhouse. Newhouse is Kansas City's first and oldest domestic violence shelter. This year, we are celebrating our 50-year anniversary, and it is so exciting to think about the lives that we've transformed over the last 50 years, but most importantly, the work that we have yet to do the next 50 years to come. Our vision is to shatter the barriers that feed the cycle of abuse and for all people to live a life free of domestic violence.
I think that places like Newhouse need to exist in order to be able to close the gap in the availability and create equity, making sure that everyone has what they need to be successful.
We are really only just beginning to understand the impact of trauma, which is really amazing. In the last 10 years, we've made amazing strides to understand, but even then, to truly put it into practice is what's difficult.
Newhouse is a good resource because we focus on holistic healing and we try to approach domestic violence from a whole system standpoint instead of just the violence aspect. We focus on like the emotions, the isolation. We try to heal all areas of the abuse rather than just the base.
The approaches that we're taking have been proven to help break that cycle.
Newhouse is the catalyst for survivors of domestic violence to rise through the impacts of their trauma. We provide an ecosystem of transformative services that allow survivors to achieve safety, self-sufficiency, and whole person healing.
Social services, domestic violence, working with children and family has to be a calling. The staff that I've met here, they have a light, and that light is what shines brightly even in the darkest of days.
I chose to work at Newhouse because I think that domestic violence is an increasing problem that really doesn't get a lot of attention. And in Missouri and Kansas City especially, I think there's a lot of unmet need that needs a lot of support.
The Advocate's Office, we really like to call it the hub of the shelter. We are the first step in that healing process that survivors are getting by answering the 24-hour crisis hotline. There have been some really hard conversations on the hotline. These people are really at their wits' end with this, relationship that they're experiencing. We are able to affirm that desire for a better life, a life outside of domestic violence, a life free of domestic violence, a life free of that cycle of domestic violence.
I feel very connected not only to the people that I'm working with, but also even just the residents. There's dignity in providing good quality food and good quality service to people that aren't necessarily getting that in life. When you're hungry, you kind of can't think about anything else. Like, you're focused on what your body is doing and what your body is not able to do when you don't have adequate nourishment or adequate food. Doing this work allows me to kind of get rid of that peace for people and give them that little bit of peace in their own mental health. One little boy that lives here, when he comes up to get food from the kitchen, he'll come up and he'll say something like, "Can I get a number 1 or can I get a number 3?" And it's just kind of his way of joking with us and I guess his way of ordering his food and making himself feel comfortable, and you can kind of see how he's come out of his shell in the time that he's been here.
What drew me to work to transition my position from the advocates to the children was what I experienced when I was younger. So I experienced a household that had some domestic violence in it, and being with social workers growing up and seeing what they did for me, I really wanted to do that for the kids here. I feel like this service that we provide to our residents here is so important because it helps just that added stress of I need to find childcare, I need to find someone I trust to watch my kids while I'm trying to get housing, while I'm trying to just seek safety from their abuser. It's just one less thing that they have to think about, and it's like the convenience of them coming down to me, and they need help for 30 minutes, they need help for a week. I'm there to support them in that.
To be a children's therapeutic case manager, I focus on emotional regulation, coping skills, empowerment, advocacy. Children in places of high trauma, they often have toxic stress, which they have high levels of cortisol that negatively affects how they regulate their emotions and how they're able to engage with other people. They're always stuck in that like fight or flight response, and it's very hard for them to regulate themselves if they don't have that safety and that base ability with the coping skills to regulate themselves. And if a child doesn't feel basic safety, they're not going to be able to grow emotionally, socially, or any other way.
When the clients come to the boutique, I see that they're happy, they seem to feel good about themselves, be able to make their own choices. So it's good to see them be able to come and choosing on their own. No one's telling them what they can and cannot have. They have options. It feels so good to see them feeling good about themselves. And me being here and deaf, volunteering here as a deaf person, I can see that I can also help Newhouse understand more how to help the accessibility aspect. Newhouse can help to provide more accessibility by understanding, working with me. We're seeing what deaf people are faced with when they come here and what their needs are specifically. So it lessens the awkwardness of not knowing how to handle someone with a communication barrier. It's a safe place here.
As a children's therapist, I work with parents and everyone 18 and under. The therapy component is really important to children who have experienced trauma because I want to teach them what healthy relationships are. So part of it for me is about being that safe adult for them and giving them a space where they get to be who they are and get to learn how to behave and interact with others. It also gives them a chance to process through the things they've happened because we do so much play. A child's words really are done through play. So I don't do much talk therapy because the kids, that's not what helps them. So they'll play out their issues and I can see what's going on in their life and I know how to appropriately redirect or provide support. It's just phenomenal when you see a breakthrough for a kiddo, when you either see them not feeling the shame, like you can see a change in their body, you can see in a way a change in the way they interact with others, when they become less aggressive, or when they're starting to be like, it's okay for me to be who I am.
The transformative services that Newhouse provides, they're very crucial. I have seen many people come in here fleeing actively a domestic violence situation to stay here for several months and then see them transform into living into a single apartment to really obtain the life that they have always deserved.
Hopefully us being able to provide a helping environment and not an enabling environment. That I like the aspect of Newhouse being able to work itself out of a job per se. Yeah, I would like for us to work ourselves out of a job where we provide a service and we ensure that that service continues through empowerment.
It's really interesting to see the journey going from beginning to end, sort of watching clients come in and really be very traumatized from whatever circumstances they're coming from, and being able to support them with whatever I can be difficult for sure. But knowing that we have a good support network here and so many resources to refer them to is always incredibly helpful to helping them get on their feet, sort of, and get going to where they're going. I talked to a client recently who is now in, housing after being in shelter for a while. And she had called the hotline, not in an emergency at this point, but was reporting that she was doing incredibly well. And she called me by name and said, "Oh, hey, I wanted to catch you on the hotline and talk and see how you were doing." And it was very, sort of affirming to the work that we do.
Regardless of the length of time you've experienced domestic violence, the amount of trauma, there is hope that things can be better. Does that mean you're going to forget what you have experienced or what your family has experienced? No. It isn't about forgetting it. It's about learning to forgive. It's a learning about healing and creating new pathways, the way we think and the way we behave. There is hope. And I think there's a lot of capacity for healing. And I think that Newhouse, the staff, the programming, the goal is to provide hope. Hope will be our superpower.
As Kansas City's oldest and first domestic violence shelter, Newhouse is providing hope each and every day for survivors of domestic violence. We are operating on one of the smallest budgets for domestic violence shelters in our community, yet we are providing 88 beds of safety each and every night. We couldn't do this work without the support of our community, our partners, and our donors. And we are asking you today to join us hand in hand to be our partner for the next 50 years, to make certain that when survivors build up the courage to take that step and leave, that we are here to help them achieve safety, self-sufficiency, and whole person healing.
My name is Kimberly, and I'm a survivor. Looking back, as I was going through my phone, at one point I realized back in 2017, I started calling the domestic abuse hotline. I was being controlled financially, verbally, emotionally. I was being told how to act, what to do, like what was appropriate, what wasn't appropriate. And I couldn't really couldn't put my finger on like what to call it. And as time went on, I made excuses. If only I tried harder, did better. There were several moments where I started packing and would call my parents or some really close friends that I had that kind of knew the details. And then I would get sucked right back in. We would go to counseling. We had 3 different counselors, all Christian-based, so I thought we were going somewhere. We had marriage mentors from our church or from other churches trying to guide us along the paths. Those little moments gave me hope, and just like the cycle with everything else, it quickly diminished, and I was stuck, back in that feeling of where am I going? What am I doing? How do I get out of this? Or how do I make this better? And that's what I think it's so hard to explain to people who have never been in that situation. It's like trying to explain addiction to someone who doesn't know what it's really like or has never been through that struggle and that fight. So that is actually kind of when the physical abuse started. One night he had come into our daughter's room where I was sleeping and held me down, pinned me, his knees on my arms, straddled across the top of me, and his hands over my throat, and told me that he had plotted the 5 ways he was going to kill me. And, one being he was going to push me down the stairs because I'm so klutzy that people would think it was just an accident, or he was going to drown me in the bathtub because I'm so stupid that people would think I probably just, fell asleep in there and went underwater and didn't know how to get out. And he was going to put a gun to my head and stage it like suicide because people would believe that I was that desperate to end my life. He was going to poison me because I'm so stupid that people would believe that I would probably drink poison. While he was doing this, he, would put his hands down my pants while he's holding me down. And, when I would ask him to quit, he would tell me, you can't rape your wife. No one's going to believe you. He would tell me because of his military and his, police officer background, he's not stupid enough to leave marks on me, and he would know how to stage these things to make it look like it was an accident or a suicide. No one would suspect that it was him. The Monday prior to me leaving, my abuser and I were having a conversation about what we were going to do to make things better, how we were going to solve issues. And when I went into the bedroom to talk to him, our 3-year-old at the time followed us, and she was on the floor playing with the dog. And she pulled an AR-15 out from underneath the bed, unsecured. And that was when, in my head, I knew that I needed to get out. And if it wasn't for me, it was for her and my 2 older kids. I had went to her room and locked the door and started packing things into a suitcase and putting them back in the closet. My plan was, when I left, I was going to grab everything and I wasn't coming back. I was going to grab her from childcare after work, and that was going to be the end of being there. So I took Jordan to daycare, let the childcare kind of know what was going on. I went to work, got some resources from work, started working on different avenues. So that day, after I got off work, I went to pick Jordan up, and I got the phone call on my way there that he had already grabbed her. So I went home, and of course, I was trying to make peace. In the meantime, he told me I had 2 hours to figure out what I was doing and how I was going to fix it. He was going to jiu-jitsu, so I thought, okay, I've got 2 hours. So I watched him leave, made sure he left. I called a really good friend in our neighborhood and told her, listen, I've called, all of the shelters are full. I don't know what I'm doing, where I'm going. I've got bags packed, pillows and blankets. If I have to stay in my car, that's what I'll do. I'm out of here. I can't do this anymore. And within, literally it felt like seconds, but it was probably a couple of minutes, I had several of my neighbors, male neighbors at my doorstep, wanting to make sure that I made it out of there safe, and helping me grab whatever it was that I needed them to grab while I was, headed out. And so I got out, and I called Newhouse, and I said, I'm out, I'm driving, I don't know where I'm going. It was a breath of fresh air when you told me, we don't have the room, other places don't have the room, we've called around, but we have the means to put you up in a hotel. That's kind of where my journey, after going through this, now I feel very hopeful, that very, very much more at peace with how everything is going on, and I know that I may not be able to control the exact path or the outcome, but I can control my emotions and how it affects me, and where my life is headed moving forward. When I started feeling comfortable enough to share bits and pieces of my story, or things that really hit home for me that I would see on Facebook or other places on the internet, as I was doing more research, and I would share them on my Facebook page. And it shocked me to see the number of people that reached out to me that I knew, but had no idea they had went through similar situations, or they had people, they were currently friends with that were trying to figure out, how to get out, what to do, reaching out for help. So if 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men at some point in their lives experience domestic violence, that's someone in your neighborhood, that's someone in your kid's school, that's someone in your office. For me, by speaking out, I'm trying to give a voice to those who haven't found their voice yet. I'm not speaking out so I can yell and be heard. It's to try and advocate for those who don't feel like they can say anything because of the situation that they're stuck in. To all the people who are suffering from domestic violence out there right now, you're worth it. It's not easy, and sometimes it hurts like hell, and it feels impossible. But there are people out there that you can get connected with that will have your back, will be your emotional support. Keep pushing, keep fighting. Life is beautiful on the other side.
It takes incredible courage to walk away from a life that is not safe. Survivors are often judged for not leaving sooner, but barriers unbeknownst to others typically stand in the way of someone's safety and success. It is important now more than ever that we create a new day for survivors. Right now, you can provide a new day. Just reach into your hearts and consider making a meaningful monthly gift, which invests in the future of survivors at Newhouse. A monthly gift allows the shelter to plan for the year and ensure funds go to the front of the line where they are needed most. Every dollar contributed today is 100% tax deductible for supporters living in Missouri. Any gift that you make over $100 may be eligible for a 50% tax credit. The brave survivors Newhouse serves are recovering from significant trauma, and their shelter is their place of healing. Adults and children, they need therapy support. For $100 a month, you can ensure every adult and child at Newhouse has the therapy they need to achieve safety and whole person healing. Can you make that gift possible? Now we are asking those who can make a gift of $75 a month to please consider this impactful gift. Navigating the court system for an order of protection is not easy. Survivors need help to ensure their safety, and $75 a month will provide court advocacy support and legal resources that will allow survivors to build a new life. Can you make that gift possible? And how about a gift of $50 a month? Half of Newhouse's residents in shelter are children, and 87% are under the age of 13. A donation of $50 a month, it provides a day's worth of diapers, wipes, and training pants for children. You will ensure children at Newhouse have the diapers they need to be healthy, clean, and safe. Next, we have a $25 a month gift. Survivors often must choose between purchasing important medications or putting gas in their car. A donation of $25 a month that provides critical medications to residents and shatters barriers for addressing mental health. Can you make a monthly gift and help provide those necessary medications to residents at Newhouse? Lastly, we have our $10 a month gift. Newhouse residents often come in with really minimal toiletries and essential items. A $10 a month donation ensures survivors have the necessary hygiene products to uphold dignity and healing. Will you ensure that these much needed items are in the hands of every survivor that comes through those doors? As we close our program this morning, we want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in to hear about the life-saving work happening every day at Newhouse. Your support today ensures that survivors have somewhere to turn to tomorrow. And I want to thank our breakfast sponsors again, Huhtamaki, Hush Blackwell, the Gallery Event Space, Sporting Kansas City, and Design Mechanical. Thank you for all of your commitment to breaking the cycle of domestic violence for all people. And as a reminder, to make a gift today, visit newhousekc.org/50years. Your gift will help shatter those barriers that feed the cycle of abuse and create an opportunity for all people to live a life free of domestic violence. Unfortunately, domestic violence never takes a break, but neither does Newhouse.